a memorable moment with Phife. Actually, it's more like a personality trait, I guess. Like, one thing I always loved about Phife, he always be down to freestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like, he always be down to just kick something. So anytime I was with him, damn near every time I was with him, he'd be like, let's bust something. Like, he'd just start bust out some shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always admired that about him, because so many rappers, they too scared to really rap, you know what I'm saying? Especially back then when we was first coming out and stuff, because this was like, you know, when it was earlier on. And we was just kind of, you know, just kind of getting on or whatever. Or we was, you know, they was kind of on already, but still early on. But he was willing to do that, you know what I'm saying, at the drop of a hat. Like, no problem, I'm not tripping, you know. And he was tight. Like, he was tight off the dome, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was tight. I used to be like, ooh, okay. Like, that gave me a new little respect for him. It went up a notch with me because he could do that and wasn't ashamed to do that. So that's one thing about Phife that, like, I really appreciated. I mean, aside from that, he was just cool all around, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have to be cool to me, you know what I'm saying? He was Phife Dawg. He could have been like, you know what I'm saying? He never was like that with me. Tip wasn't either, you know what I'm saying? But Phife definitely wasn't like that, you know what I'm saying? He just embraced fools, you know? You know, this is what I understand. Basically, Phife introduced Tip into rapping, really, you know what I'm saying? From what I understand, Tip might slap me in the mouth for this later, but I don't know. But this is what I understand, that this is when they're kids or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Hey, come on, rap with me, you know what I'm saying? So, like, really, if you think about it, Phife is really the cornerstone of the whole thing, really, you know what I'm saying? If you think about it on the under, so I'm just saying, you know. My favorite Phife verse part, you know, in a song gotta be Bugging Out. That's the one when I heard people talking about that verse before I heard it. And it was like, man, this new tribe, Phife, he coming, dude. Like, oh my God. Like, fools was like amazed, actually. Like, it was the dopest verse they ever heard. And I'm just tripping like, Phife? Okay, Phife was cool, but I didn't really hear a lot of him on the first shit. So I'm like, okay. So when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of like had a little fear a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, he kind of stepped it up like he a factor, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Bugging Out, definitely. I had that whole album, he was coming, you know what I'm saying? But Bugging Out, that one, he was just like retarded. And that was his lane. That was fully his lane, you know what I'm saying? That's how he came. He just like entertaining, punches, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's him, you know?
Why are we comparing, why are we making standards off of the mainstream? I don't do that, so I can't really call these guys underrated.
2001, Flavor's backstage, and this kid comes backstage, and Flavor's eating a plate of food. He gets an autograph. We leave the dressing room. Flavor takes a bite out of a burger, right? Puts it back on the plate.
My album, Go. It's an emotional thing for me to even talk about it, because it is the best album I've ever done in my life. I put everything I had into this record, and it reminds me of when I used to listen to these records in the 80s and 90s, man.
Education is very important. I think it's important that we separate education from schooling. You can go to the best schools, the richest schools, and still be a fucking idiot. You can get education from anywhere. You can get educated through hip-hop. You could get educated through traveling the world. Education is important. Learning and studying, however you get it, is important.